and indicating, yes, Hamden Patch is here tonight. Oh, that is the Hamden Patch. There you go. Joe, please come on up. Of course, his longtime scholar in the Democratic Party here in our town, good friend of Franz, and has a few words to say.
Thank you. Thank you. This is an honor, truly. Today is the 71st birthday of Bob Dylan, another poet, and in honor of that, I'm not going to sing. In honor of that, I've written 17 things that I know about Franz Douskey. When the previous fire chief resigned, Hamden fire chief resigned, Franz decided that he was the best person for the job. He wrote a letter to the mayor arguing that A, he looked good in a uniform. B, he knew how to wave during parades. And C, he would never park a fire truck too close to a fire. Franz plays polo. Very well, in fact. In 1997, he performed, I think it's called a ride-in, against the Duke of Wales in the second chukker. That was instrumental in his team's victory.
Duke against Duke.
In 2006, he ended a television interview by announcing, "I'm sorry, I need to go inside to put on my evening toupee." Franz has already been mentioned. Franz traveled the American Southwest with Allen Ginsberg, fellow poets Allen Ginsberg, Gregory Corso, and William Burroughs, performing poetry readings. In 2003, Franz was chosen to be the first district councilman. Although he was never sworn in, Franz had prepared an acceptance speech in which he said, quote, "I'm accepting this position in order to spend less time with my family." Franz is a good friend of Jerry Lee Lewis and a friend of many of Jerry Lee Lewis's 7 wives. This is kind of an embarrassing confession. Franz and I feuded briefly during the early years of this century. I believe it was over my objection when he identified himself as a freelance pallbearer. In case you haven't noticed, I'm wearing a Hamden Fire Department officer's coat. Franz gave it to me. He has refused to tell me from whom he stole it. Recently, when Franz and I were speaking, I praised him, saying that he was doing God's work. And he replied, "Yes, and I wish God would start to keep up with his responsibilities." Last year, when Franz decided that a friend needed some cheering up, he dressed himself in a smoking jacket and a turban and delivered a statue of a pizza chef to a Hamden planning and zoning meeting where his friend was supposed to be. Unfortunately, it wasn't a planning and zoning meeting. His friend wasn't there. It was a legislative council meeting, but that didn't deter Franz from delivering the statue. This is a warning to everybody. If Franz's comments ever seem somewhat erratic, ask him if Sarah is traveling, which means you can disregard anything he says. Franz loves diners. He is on a first-name basis with waiters and waitresses from virtually every breakfast hash joint within 15 miles of Hamden, and he's reported to be a generous tipper. Franz interviewed Smokey Joe Wood, the great Boston Red Sox pitcher who helped lead the Red Sox to a World Series victory in 1912, and it was Wood's last interview before he passed away. There is no connection.
That's no known connection.
Please, this is my talk. One evening, when I ran into Franz, I complimented him on the tie he was wearing, an all-pink tie. He reached into his pocket, pulled out an identical tie, and said, "Here, this is for you." When Franz delivered that pizza chef statue to the legislative council meeting, he caused a panic. The story went viral, only limited by the fact that nobody in Hamden knows how to shoot a video and post it on YouTube. Franz feuded back in the 1960s with Charles Bukowski. He apparently has made it a habit to feud with alcoholic reprobates. And finally, 16 of these items are true, 1 is false. Well, half false. Thank you.